Yeah, I'm talking now more in an extended version from the discussion into the deep. I think we just outlined about the 10 function of one, which now we're making extended. So being extended, we're talking about life preferences, the devil's appetite, which by examining you can see that in the 10 functions of one, which one must something you need to explore internally as inner engineering. If there is also a need, you can make it explicit, meaning you explore the outside, the extrovert. So it means it's a symbiosis of introvert extrovert. So in this extended version, now we're talking about life preferences. Life preferences is all preferences that individual makes, but being specific saying is what the gender makes. So when we say the devil appetite, we're saying that life is the same as a system of engineering where there is an input, process, output. But what is staggering about it is that the amount of input you receive is not directly proportional to the amount of process. You might find that the process is bigger than the input, and also to the output. You find that the output it's more than between process input. So when we say life, it's a devil appetite. We're saying that it has no regulation in between input to output versus its process. So in this case, we say that yes, individuals, a gender can have their own preferences, but fair and square, now we know that the genders are not equal and their preferences are not the same. And as a result, it's some of the things that we have acknowledged to say. Some may say, let us appreciate, to say we cannot appreciate nonsense at the end, because you can see here that there's been an equality where people have been woven on an equality society for such a long time. But for that one, it's not for us to say why it's like that. I was just saying sometimes I find it is not right that we should acknowledge or appreciate a kind of inequality. Still on the life preferences, say some choose their own things that they choose. It's the gender choose what they want to choose. What you choose is based on choice, but choice without the right information, it's no choice. So who have a choice is one who have the information that is right, who have the preferences that is right, is one who have been enlightened, is one who have elevated himself or herself from the lower states into better conditions, or the ideal state. If you still remember, once talk about the ideal state. So what we're saying now is that life preferences that we see around going on, for now it's a mess. And as a mess, you cannot prefer yourself to be that particular people or that particular individual. In other words, most of the masses, they are messed up in a CGI society where they are not too sure, they are living illusion. But here, we dedicated, say, thanks to Fredman, Sataguru, and the other guys that have been sitting, we call them the seven sage, to sit down and talk about the mystics, things that's still more relevant into the 10 functions of one, things that are still more relevant to say that being a human is not just being a human, or because you're just born as a human, but the moment you learn, you discover, you explore yourself, the most crucial and important things is saying what is fundamentally in the core. And so here is to highlight that and indicate that your preference then has to be right. Some may ask, how do I know that my preference is right? I've talked about life that is a devil's appetite. Control your appetite. The appetite is not about the food you eat. The life you live in, you have everything, but selfishness, greed and desperation is driving you crazy. Things that doesn't belong to you, you take it, you gobble them. They are not yours, it's for the poor. That's the reason we're talking about saying the issues of corruption, it's issues of greedy and selfishness, which is destroying the love for morality. So with that, we say that this is the discussion talking about in the extended level, saying life preferences, one has to sit down and think. So here on the Pro FM, things have changed radically, right in its core, meaning that our focal point, it's no more the social lifestyle, it's no more techno related. We are into the real thing now. We are into ourselves, the agenda of mystic, the agenda of the issues of spirit. You see, saying, yes, with technology, indeed, we have lost the divine destiny. But let us rediscover it before it's about to disappear in our eyes. So it's the reason we make this record in a moment in time, saying, yes, life this, life that, life say this and that. Yes, that's the life they're talking about. But it only takes a wise up individual. It only takes an individual who has the wisdom from God to sit down and speculate and look, observe, and then make analysis. And then you come to the conjecture I'm talking about. There was a song that was sang or was sung by Taras talking about the devil's appetite. Today we know what's the devil's appetite. In life preferences. What do you prefer? You have everything, but still you want to gobble what belongs to the poor. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you? So with that, we're saying that life preferences at an extended level, well, this is just a basic scope of that, and just brainstorming around the life preferences and looking at to say one has to make the right decision about himself or herself, to say this is your preferences. I'm very interested to say masculine versus feminism. What is that? All that it's life preferences is all the devil's appetite formulated on an equality system. So that was saying we're just closing this discussion talk about life preferences, the devil's appetite. This is an extended version, and so we will come and sum up the entire discussion, saying that at the end of the day, when you dive into the deep, be careful of the devil's appetite. Be careful. Be careful of what you call it, the life preferences, input, process and output. You got to be careful of such thing, looking at, say, you must be complete in human logical, and then you will come to the same conclusion, the same conjecture. Don't forget, these are opinions and philosophies of SSMD. In his observation, in his seclusion, we're saying life and beyond, into the deep. You're just diving into the deep. And you discover just one talk. So we will see each other sometime around. Hopefully you will have time to tune in and check into our discussions, opinions and philosophy of SSMD, just life in general. And thanks to Fredman, there's more talk to come for Fredman, and more people like us will listen as spectators. Because what we are reaching here as a conclusion is derived from their discussion, saying this is that, that's that, life is that, but this is just what we're looking at, life preferences and the devil's appetite. Aside from the 10 functions of one, still at elevated mode, where we talk about reality, consciousness and God. Now extended version, we're talking about life preferences, reality, consciousness and God. I think now you understand that reality offers preferences, and the preferences that are being given in life, you have your choice, but you only have a choice if you have the right information, knowledge, you are enlightened about it. So now what's going on is that it's very important that one got to understand what preferences is, and what are your preferences, physical preferences, spiritual preferences. In other words, we're talking about your needs. There are physical needs, there are spiritual needs, but you must know your preferences. So where do we get preferences? It's reality that give us preferences. Say this is what it is about the symbiosis of life, the body and spirit fused together and enjoying life. So with that, we're saying now preferences.